put this here. I know this is pretty ridiculous.
Awesome.
Hey, all right.
You sure it's recording?
Not a
Just
bad
before we
thing.
start
Yep,
this?
smart move. Okay, yeah, we're good. All right. So, just kind of, okay, so this is for a management class, the kind of,
Okay.
a bunch of different management styles are being learned, and just what are the effective styles given the situation. So, can you just introduce yourself and give us a little background on you?
Sure. You want me to talk to the camera?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it like that.
Hi, my name is Marcus Humphrey, and I'm the Director of Digital Home Loans for BOK Financial Mortgage. My role is to lead the technical stack that's being developed from the business perspective. So IT is a vendor of mine. So my IT partners, such as Bill and Jeremy and the other groups that partner with my teams, act as a vendor of mine. We pay for IT under the umbrella of our funding scheme. So my job is to understand what's the best technology stack for the business, both financially and meets our customers' needs. So that's kind of what I do here today at the organization.
Nice, thanks. All right, so if IT isn't directly managed by you, what sort of techniques can you use if you have strict deadlines you want to meet, or there's project things you want to add to it, but you're getting pushback from IT?
Sure. So whether it's IT or a technical vendor, such we have several vendors that provide us software or tool sets, and then our IT team is looked at to maintain them and or build additional tool sets and thread them together. So whether it's a vendor or IT, although I don't manage them directly, we as an organization pay for them in some method, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with a vendor, I'm paying a direct fee to them, right? Or if it's IT, at some place within the business org, at the top of the umbrella, we're paying for that organization. So they're partners.
Okay.
The same thing can be said about our business intelligence group or our reporting teams, right? They are partners. So strategic partners, we all work together to meet a goal that we set forth. And it is always challenging because you don't directly manage them to gain buy-in from them and to make sure that you're meeting the needs of the project, initiative, or strategic intent. So lots of methods I deploy. Number one is partnership. So even though I might have a technical vendor that I pay a lot of money to, it's still important that I'm a good partner with them in the relationship so that we can continue to develop it together. Here we had a challenge when I arrived. One of our vendors was not meeting their end of the bargain as far as customer support or providing technical knowledge or just meeting timelines.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, whether it's external or internal with our IT team or any of our partners, building a personal relationship with them is critical. Without it, you'll feel like you're banging your head on a wall, right? Because if they don't like you or they don't see the value in this relationship other than a dollar amount coming in, you will typically receive poor support and service, as opposed to having a relationship by which you can have meaningful conversations about due dates and accuracy and efficiencies that you're missing. So I would think the first thing is really building a partnership and not coming in as the bad cop, if you will, so often. And then the second thing I would say is optics. It's important that you know exactly what performance is being handled and what expectations you can realistically get from that vendor or strategic partner. So I really focus on measuring just about every element in the process, including the vendor relationship or the partner relationship, to be able to have realistic conversations about due dates on a project or cost on a project. So again, that's something we built out a lot of optics around how well our IT partners can move through a sprint or accomplish anything in the backlog. That allows me to place some realism around sizing the effort and the timelines that we can truly make within that effort, which equals money. It all equals money. So if it takes too long, if it takes a month longer, it's going to cost money for those resources. So I'd say those are kind of my two biggies: relationship and optics.
Nice. Okay. And you've been a manager for a long time, yeah?
Yeah, I forgot now. It's a good question.
So you used to be more in like a sales-driven role, or at least?
Yeah, way back in this industry, I started in sales.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I started in processing. Actually, I've done probably all of the grunt jobs from identity access management or just ordering case numbers through processing loans, closing funding loans, and then into sales. From there, I led a sales team. I led an operations team for a little while, and then I led a sales group after I got decent. And then I moved into be an individual contributor as a consultant, and then managing teams. So I've been back and forth between individual contributorship and leading teams. But I'd say I've been leading, truly managing teams at a broad scale for about 15 years.
Wow. Has your management style changed from just over time, and also from leading a support group versus leading a sales group?
Yes. It changes a lot over time based off of just maturity, right? So there's a lot you learn the hard way around talking to people and really, understanding what their needs are, which correlates with sales. So a lot of times if I'm selling to a customer, I'm trying to dig into what is it that they really need to do a needs benefit presentation back to them. You'll see that a lot, anything from car sales to clothing sales is what is it that you're truly wanting or needing, and then how do I meet that with the benefits. And the more questions, the more I can listen and understand from the customer or the employee, the more I can change what we're doing and change our course of action.
Okay.
So, I'd say there's been a lot of that maturing. It's actually interesting to be more of a listening leader, so you know how to function and respond back to them, as opposed to a directive manager.
Do you feel like sometimes there are scenarios where being a directive manager is more helpful than
You always have to shift, you may have a high level model that you want to stay in, but at each event you've probably got to change whether you're more directive, more supportive, lower directive, low supportive, kind of in between. Depends on the employee and their capabilities and their proven track record, whether you can be, this sounds weird, but low supportive, low directive, right? Because they are a top performer and just need to be pointed the right way, and they'll take care of everything else, and they want that. And then you've got folks that are in a task, it's all based on the task, that are in need of more direction and more support. And then you've got a combination of those beneath them. But the biggest thing is not to really look at the person when you're managing, but the task or the goals that you're setting out. Because that helps really, for me, drive what it is that we need to do at this moment for this particular issue. So Kevin, like for example, you're a fantastic, proven business intelligence individual, and a lot of times I can just, if I was directing you, most of the time I can simply say I need X, and that's it, right? And then depending on that task of what it is I'm asking you to exactly do, you may be a highly productive employee that can do it easily. But it could be the same, me talking to you about a different task, which is a little more outside your norm or comfort zone, that you need more direction. If I'm asking for some sort of analytics around a topic you may not be familiar with, or how I'm going to use it, then you and I probably need to discuss more about exactly my expectations and not what I need from you, but more how you can meet the needs that is there, right? So sometimes, whether they're highly productive or not employee or a high performer, based off of the task, it's different. I've got another employee who started with me a few months ago, who's a fantastic manager, knows technology enough to be dangerous, but is really from the sales world. And so when it comes to some tasks that are more on the IT side about building a backlog and running a sprint, he is not a high performer, right? And so in those, I've got to provide more direction, more support, more expectations.
Nice.
So it's really, I think one of the things that have really helped me is understanding it's not the employee can do everything perfectly every time, but what is the task that they're faced with, and how can what type of management style do I offer them?
Wow, okay, thanks, good, all right.
That's probably a lot.
That was a great
video.
answer. All right, so when you're adding people to your team, is there any specific traits that you're looking for during the interview process?
Yeah, to counterpose what I just said, in addition to the can they accomplish the task, are usually some of those questions. Have you done this before? What has your experience been like doing X, Y, or Z? Those are more around the task, and do they have the skills to accomplish those? For me, there's a bigger piece that is important. That's the cultural fit. So what does their personality look like? Can they blend with the rest of the team? And in my teams, I have a lot of personalities. You've got some grumpies, you got some happies, you got some go-getters, you got some that need prodding and then they go well. I've got one that's fantastic but needs a high-pressure due date, and then they thrive. If I set a date that's 3 months out, they're kind of, I'll get to it when I get to it. When I set a date that's like 2 weeks out, they are all on it and they hit it, right? So those different types of personalities all have to operate together. And the culture of our department and my teams has to be strong, or regardless of our capabilities and tasks, we won't move through it together. And because I rely on a variety of specialties, I need everybody functioning together. So culture is a big one. I like to ask questions around culture. What would you do in this scenario if you had a coworker do X? Have you ever experienced working with somebody who doesn't feel as passionate about this item as you do, and see what their responses are? Or do they respond, well, I'll figure out a way to build that relationship, or is it more driven around, well, how do we come together as a group and bond together, knowing the ultimate goals? Are we all committed to the same goals? Those types of things. So culture is a big fit, and I've had to release people because they're not a cultural fit.
Oh, wow.
So
Makes sense.
When you stack rank employees and you're thinking about, the next level of your organization, the culture's as important or more than the task is.
Oh, wow.
So in my opinion.
Yeah.
Did that help? So I usually ask cultural questions. The task ones are pretty normal. Can you do this? What's your experience like? But getting into questions that are about how would you react to a cultural issue or item, I think are very pointed to the maturity level of the employee.
Is there any way you can get that info without a face-to-face interview? You just have a stack of resumes, how do you know?
Oh yeah, out of a resume. I guess you're looking for, typically you look for above and beyond, so the additional items that aren't job related, like do they volunteer, do they contribute elsewhere outside the company they're working for, are they a part of a club, do they take a role in the club, like treasurer of this, or they're on a board somewhere, those type of things I think are important to notice. The education piece, a lot of people don't care where you went to school, necessarily, but seeing that you accomplished a degree of a certain level means that you've done some form of partnerships or interactions with others to accomplish your school project work. So, you know, those are the type of things. I'm not necessarily care that you made a D in biology, but it would be good to see that you were in a fraternity in a kind of a leadership role, or you were received some sort of degree that I know meant you had to do group projects together.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, that's all the questions I've got, so.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much for your
all.
time. Thanks.
It's nice to meet you all.